Welcome to Wildlife Yoga, another prenatal class for you. Go ahead and grab some blocks or something that you can support your body with. Some pillows, bolster, a blanket, any additional props will help make this practice a little bit more comfortable for you. And be ready to connect ourselves with our bodies and with our babies. With whatever props you have, go ahead and grab them so that you can sit up higher on your hips. And if you're just sitting on a pillow, that's great too. Just want to have a little bit more space here. And as you sit up really tall, we'll start with a breath exercise to help bring us into our bodies. And this breath exercise is to help us find calm and relaxation, especially during times of anxiety. So the breath goes in for the count of 4, we hold for the count of 7, and then breathe out for the count of 8. So before we start that breathing pattern, just take a moment to sit up nice and tall, make room for your body and your baby, and make sure you're feeling nice and comfortable. We'll only do 4 repetitions of this. Usually if you can do a round of 4, you're able to get back to that state of relaxation if you are feeling that anxiety. So sitting up nice and tall, breathe in for the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And go ahead and let your breath return to normal. And just notice how your body feels after doing that breath exercise. And maybe take a moment to appreciate that everything is calm in this moment. And you can maybe repeat that to yourself. I am calm in this moment. Now we'll work through practicing some expansions and contractions. So breathe in and bring your shoulders up towards your ears, contracting the shoulders. And then exhale, relax, bringing those shoulders down. Inhale, the shoulders come up towards the ears. And exhale, relax. 2 more times. Inhale, the shoulders come up to the ears. And exhale, relax. Shoulders to the ears and dropping back down. We'll extend that a little bit more. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Stretching up towards the sky. And then exhale, let them come all the way down. Inhale, the arms up. And exhale all the way down. Noticing that when you bring your arms up, inhale up. Your lungs have a bit more room to expand. Exhale, bringing the arms down, letting the shoulders come down as well. Last time. Inhale the arms up, and then exhale the arms all the way down. Really nice. Let's go ahead and walk our hands forward. Remove the thing that you're sitting on, the prop that you're sitting on. And we will just start in a comfortable cross-leg position. So bring the left hand to the right knee, stretching over towards the right side, and the depth at which you are twisting will depend on how far along you are in the pregnancy or how big baby is. So just be mindful of that, not pushing yourself too far. And then we'll walk our hands back to center, twisting in the other direction. Right hand on the left knee, looking back behind. Keeping your breath long and strong. Breathing in and out through the belly. And back to center one more time. We'll twist back to the right. Looking back behind. And then over to the left for one last stretch. Keeping the breath long and deep. And then we'll come back to center, walking the fingertips out as far as they can go, with the fingertips gently resting on the mat. Bring your right ear towards your right shoulder and just hinge the chin closer towards the chest and then further away. Just rocking back and forth. And then we'll rotate to the other side, left ear towards the left shoulder, chin towards the chest, and then up towards the ceiling. And then we'll come all the way back to center. Walk your hands forward, coming onto all fours. And while we're here in all fours, pushing your toes into the mat to activate through your legs. And then we'll practice engaging up through the rib cage. So drawing up through the shoulders, just drawing the rib cage back a little bit so we're not extending this curvature in the spine too much. We're going to bring the ribs back up as if we're lifting them up towards the ceiling a little bit. You probably will feel a little bit of engagement through the abdominal muscles. And as you begin to move, we'll work through expanding and contracting with pelvic tilting. So expanding as we tilt the pelvis back and contracting as we tilt the pelvis under. And as we expand, we want to breathe in. And as we contract, we breathe out. Making these movements as small or as big as you need. Just remembering that the whole time we want to keep the toes pushing into the mat to activate through the legs and to keep the rib cage engaged, pushing up through the shoulders as well. Really nice. Keep those pelvic tilts going. And we'll begin to expand this a little bit more. So this time as we exhale, we'll tuck the tailbone under and bring the tailbone down towards the heels. And then we'll inhale and tilt the tailbone up and lengthen through the belly and rock forward. Exhale, tilting under and rocking back. Inhale, tilt the tailbone up and rock forward. Keep the fingertips engaged as you rock back and forth here. Keep breathing, keep moving in ways that your body is asking you for. And we'll come all the way back to center. And take the left leg out to the side and focus on trying to keep your hips nice and even. And before we get all the way through there, go ahead and make some circles here with the sacrum to find that even space. Find a space that feels good for you. You might need to bring your right knee out to the side a little bit more. And if you do, that is perfectly okay. And we'll expand and contract this way. So bring your right hand to the center so it's beneath your face. Inhale, lift your left arm up overhead, expand and open. And then exhale, bring that left arm under and through, maybe looking underneath that right arm a little bit. Inhale, open. And exhale, bring that left arm under. Keeping moving with your own breath. Focusing on how it feels as you rotate between the sides, how it feels to move with your breath. Take one more round. And then come all the way back to center. Keeping that left leg out to the side just for a moment. We'll lift that left leg up and then swing it all the way back. Elevating it just for a moment. Try to keep the hips stable. We tend to want to open up through here. Try to keep the hips a bit stable, acknowledging that our balance is changing as our bodies are changing as well. And then bring those toes down to the mat. We'll keep that right hand in the center and hinge your right knee a little bit closer to the middle and your toes out to the side if you need a bit more of a kickstand, but we'll open up into a side plank. It's a little bit tricky to balance this way, especially as time goes on throughout the pregnancy. Lift that left arm up overhead. And remember, you can hinge your right foot out to the side if you need a little bit more balance. If you're feeling pretty balanced, you can keep your right foot in line with your body a little bit more. So with that left arm lifted up overhead, we'll gently open up, expanding through the side of the ribs here, bringing the fingertips up and over. Maybe looking up towards the sky or down towards your hand. Whatever helps you feel a little bit more balanced. And then we'll rise back up. If you would like to try, you can try to lift that left leg up. If you're just more comfortable staying with that left leg down, that is totally fine. We'll be taking our varied half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. And then we'll bring that leg all the way down. Bring that left arm down as well. Bring the knees out nice and wide and come into your version of child's pose. If you need your hips a bit higher, go ahead and keep your toes tucked under and your hips lifted. If you can come all the way down into child's pose, keep your knees nice and wide and allow your sit bones to come and rest on top of your heels. And while we're in child's pose, we'll practice expanding and contracting through the pelvic floor. As you inhale, allow the pelvic floor to drop and open. And as you exhale, allow it to contract and lift. Inhale, the pelvic floor expands and opens. Exhale, the pelvic floor contracts and lifts. And then we'll rise all the way back up onto all fours. And we'll make our way to the other side this time. I'm just going to flip around here. So this time, we will make our way with the right leg out to the side by first finding some equilibrium through the spine. So just like we made some circles with our left leg out, we'll do the same thing here just on all fours. So focus your attention on your sacrum as you make some circles, pushing your toes into the mat, keeping your ribs lifted and engaged, pushing up through the shoulders. And then pause and start to rotate in the other direction. Be visualizing taking your baby for a ride. Keeping that breath going as you rotate. And then make your way all the way back to center. We'll take that right leg out to the side this time, and we will just make circles again here. Finding a comfortable place with the pelvis. rotating in both directions. Keep your breath long and strong. And then bring your left hand to the center. Inhale, bring your right arm up overhead. And then thread it underneath and through, looking back across onto the left side. Inhale, lift up, open and expand. Exhale, come down and contract. Continue with your own breathing. Inhale as you expand and lift your left arm or your right arm. And exhale as you bring that right arm underneath. And then come all the way back down. And we'll keep the left hand in the center here as we lift our right leg and bring it all the way back, hinging open into that side plank, variation of a side plank. And just remember, you can adjust where your toes are planted depending on how much balance you feel like you need. And it might be different on this side than the other side. So go ahead and find your breath, find your stability here. Lifting up out of that left shoulder, not sinking into it, but lifting up. And then we'll start to open and expand through the right rib cage, bringing our right arm up and overhead, breathing into the ribs. And then we'll rise that right arm back up. And if you would like to, you can maybe try to balance by lifting that right leg. Just make sure you're using your left leg as a kickstand nice and effectively. Keeping your breath long and strong, breathing in and out with the belly moving. And then we'll lower all the way back down, bringing that right arm down and bring your knees out nice and wide, coming back into a child's pose. Any variation that feels good for you, either with the hips lifted or lowered. Sometimes child's pose can feel like too much of an inversion, and so if you need to come up a bit higher, you can do that and just rest here in a comfortable way, or even staying on your forearms so you can give your wrist a break, but bringing your hips back a little bit, using blocks or pillows to help give you some support if you need it. And take a couple of expansions and contractions of the pelvic floor. Inhale, and the pelvic floor relaxes and drops. And then exhale, the pelvic floor contracts and lifts. And then we'll rise all the way up and grab a prop that you can rest underneath your hips here. And we'll come into a malasana. If you need to bring your block or your pillow to a different orientation to help with that, then go ahead and do that. We'll bring the feet so that they're pointed out with the heels down as much as you can. And the more we can have the heels down, the more we're working on rotating through the pelvis in a good way. And bring the palms of the hands together with your elbows to the insides of the knees. And we'll just work through breathing here for a few breaths. This is a really good place to practice our expansions and contractions of the pelvic floor, if you would like to do that as well. And then if you do have other props to help lift you up, it will make this a little bit easier. It's not necessary. But I'm actually going to remove the block from between my hips and use two here. So I will inhale and expand and open, pointing my toes forward, coming into a half forward fold. And then exhale, point my toes out, coming back down into Malasana squat. So Inhale, lengthen through the legs. Point the toes forward and stick the tailbone back, coming into that half forward fold. And then point the toes out, lower the hips down into your Malasana squat. And just keep doing this with your own breath. Inhaling as you straighten the legs and maybe wiggle the hips around a little bit if that feels good. And then exhale, bring the hips down. Keeping that going. Focusing on that balance between the contraction and expansion. So as we're lowering down, we are expanding more through the hips and through the front of the legs. And then as we come up to our half forward fold, we're expanding a bit more into the back of the legs. Just finding that equilibrium of expanding and contracting through the different parts of the hips and the legs. And try to find some comfort here. Moving nice and slow. I like having the supports here to keep me from inverting too much because of that extra blood flow that we do have. It can become a bit tricky to invert for an extended period of time. If you're able to kind of contract through your calves by bringing your sit bones down, it can also help kind of pump the lymph fluid, especially if you get swollen ankles. It can help with that as well. We'll take about 2 more rounds. We're getting stronger as we squat up and down as well. And then make your last round down into your Malasana squat. We'll go ahead and move those blocks over to the side. Bring your knees together and down on the mat, and we'll keep the toes tucked under for now. So with the toes tucked under, sitting nice and tall on the heels, take a few big deep breaths in, finding some equalizing here, and this might feel really good on your feet. It might feel really intense, but stretching through the arches of the feet can feel really, really nice sometimes, especially as our feet are starting to take on more and more weight than we're used to. And then we will just rotate here. Again, this is helping us move some lymph fluid down through our legs. Walking the hands forward, and then take the tops of the feet down, compressing the calves. Walking the hands forward, tucking the toes under. And try to do this with your breathing here. So maybe you'll inhale as you walk forward, and then exhale as you hinge back. And maybe you'll do it the other way, whatever feels good for you. So exhaling as you come forward, inhaling as you come back. And just try out both variations and notice which one feels better for you. Making your way through your last round. And then we'll make our way onto all fours. So if your feet are feeling pretty tense, go ahead and rotate through your ankles. If it feels like too much to have your toes tucked under, just bring the tops of your feet down. We'll work our way into puppy pose here, and notice that, notice how you feel as you work your way down, working your way down nice and slow, walking the hands forward, and then keeping the hips lifted as you start to bring the chest down. And it's okay if coming down this far is not in the cards for you right now, if that feels too uncomfortable. You can just stay lifted here, or you can bring the hips down a little bit more. Just make sure you take the knees out nice and wide if you do that. Keep your breath Nice and calm, breathing in and out through the belly, focusing on opening through the chest. And then we'll lift back up, this time rounding through the spine, tucking the hips under, lifting up through the shoulders. Exhale as you do this. And then inhale, walk the hands forward and breathe into the puppy pose again. Exhale, walking the hands back, rounding through the spine, tucking the tailbone under. And then inhale, walk the hands forward. Chest comes down, breathing into the puppy pose. And exhale, coming back, tucking the tailbone under. And if you would like to get a little bit more of a stretch into your triceps as you come down, just continue working through the puppy pose and rounding through the spine. If you'd like to bring it into your triceps a little bit more, you can come down with your elbows on your blocks and lift your hands up towards the ceiling to open up through the triceps. And if this is something you're choosing to do, you'll just alternate between that and rounding through the spine, just like we were doing before. And if it does feel good to stay in the posture for longer than just a couple of breaths, honor that and take time to fill that space. We'll make our way through one more round. Meeting on all fours. And then make your way into a comfortable seat. And from here, we will start with one leg out wide and the other leg in. Expanding and staying nice and tall with your left toes pointed up in the sky and your right toes closer to your thigh. If you need to, you can scoot your right foot out a little bit more if you need more room for belly and for baby. And then we will walk our hands forward, just coming down as far as feels comfortable while you can still keep your left toes pointed up towards the ceiling. We'll work through some expansion and contraction here as well. So bring your left hand down to the outside of your left leg. If you do need a bit more support, you can bring a block to the outside. Bring your hand down and then lift your right arm up overhead. Contracting the left side while we open up through the right. And then inhale back to center. Take your right hand back behind and your left hand across to your right knee, looking back behind you. This time kind of expanding through the left side and contracting through the right just slightly. And then we'll open up wide, lift up nice and tall, hinging forward again. And then lift back up, bring that left arm down by the left leg. Right arm lifts up and over, contracting through the left side body, expanding through the right. And lift back up to center, right hand comes back behind, left arm to the right knee. And we'll come through one more time, sitting nice and tall with your left toes pointed up, hinging forward. And then coming back up to center, bring your left arm down towards your left leg, lift your right arm up and over. And then rise all the way back up, twisting over towards the right. Keep your diaphragmatic breathing going, in and out. Through the nose, feeling the belly expand and contract. And then come all the way back to center. Go ahead and bring the legs out in front. Shake the legs out a little bit. And then we'll bring the right leg out to the side, the left leg to the inside of that right leg. Moving our block over if you need to. Point those right toes up towards the ceiling. Start by lifting nice and tall, opening up through the chest. And then begin to maybe walk the hands forward if you feel like you can. Do that while keeping your toes pointed up towards the ceiling. Try to focus on not over-exaggerating the arch in the spine, but draw your ribs back a little bit, but still keeping your tailbone tilted back. So it's kind of trying to focus on making that S shape with the spine. And then we'll walk our hands back. Take your right arm down by your right leg. Lift your left arm up overhead, this time contracting through the right side and expanding through the left. And inhale, rise back up. Sit nice and tall, stretching across to the left side. Right hand comes to the outside of the left knee. Looking back behind you. And then come back to center. Lift nice and tall. Inhale. And then exhale as you begin to come forward. Inhale, rise all the way back up. Bring your right arm down by your right leg. Lift your left arm up overhead. Contracting to the right, expanding to the left. And inhale, rise back up. Twisting across to the left side. Right hand holds onto the outer left knee. Staying nice and tall. And then make your way to center. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And exhale, hinge forward. And inhale, rise back up. Bring your right hand down by your right leg for one last round. Lifting that left arm up and over. And then rise all the way back up. Sitting nice and tall for a breath. And then exhale, twisting back behind towards the left side. And then make your way back to center. Lifting nice and tall, using your fingertips to support you behind. If you can, go further. Exhale and walk your hands forward. Keeping your toes lifted, tailbone pointing back, rib cage engaged. And then we'll make our way back with our legs in the center. Shake your legs out. We'll make our way towards Shavasana. And for the couple of options, if you would like to, if you still feel comfortable laying on your back, you can do that. If you'd like to lay on your side, go ahead and have your pillow or a block or something that you can support your head on, and then have a pillow or a block or a blanket to bring between your knees. And if you can, you want to grab that pillow or a secondary thing to help support your ankles so your ankles aren't crossing over each other. This will help bring in a good support system for the hips. So this is one way to lay if it feels comfortable for you. If you would prefer to lay in a inclined position or a reclined position, I guess, you'll use your supports to bring one block up and another block down. And you can use this with or without a pillow here. So just to show you what it looks like without a pillow, if you do need a little bit more cushion, you can just take the pillow and lay it across. My sit bones will come back to the block, and then I'll just adjust myself as I slowly come back using the block as my support for my head. And sometimes that can feel really, really nice. But I would say a little bit more relaxing is to take your bolster or your pillow and lay it that way. So do whatever you need to help you feel nice and comfortable. finding a comfortable place of relaxation. If you are reclined on your back, you can bring your feet together or extend them out wide in front of you. And you can also extend your arms out to the sides to get a little bit more of a heart opening stretch. And wherever you are, just breathe nice and heavy. Let go of any breathing patterns you were holding on to. Allow your body to be heavy. You can always adjust how you are laying as needed. If you feel like you need to move things around to help you feel supported, you have every right to do that. And as you lay here, just visualize a bubble that is expanding from your belly and getting bigger and bigger. With every exhale, it expands a little bit more. And this bubble eventually surrounds your entire body. Keeping you and your baby safe. Within your bubble, you're able to fully relax and do whatever you need to do. And you're able to do those things safely. And take a couple of breaths here, deeper breaths. Wiggling out your fingers and your toes. Wherever you're at, making your way onto your side. And then use your arms to help you rise up to a comfortable seat. And take one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Just take a moment to remember that affirmation that we started at the beginning of class, that in this moment I am calm. And we can even extend that to, in this moment, both my body and my baby are calm and safe. Both my body and my baby are calm and safe. And I hope you're able to take that with you as you experience all sorts of contractions and expansions throughout your life and throughout the pregnancy and then eventually throughout birth. And I wish you all the best. We'll see you next time.